Good afternoon, it's The Social on TalkSport 2 and myself, Adi Oladipo, broadcaster Rory Jennings with us as well. Don't forget, coming up at 5 o'clock, it is the Monday Club. Loads to discuss from the weekend of the Premier League. Yeah, I know we've discussed it already, but there's more. We've missed out quite a lot. Some interesting results in the Premier League that we didn't touch on. We will touch on those on the Monday Club at 5 o'clock. I want to go back, if we can, just because it is the big news from the weekend. Obviously, Man United parting ways with their manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Michael Carrick, who's just on my screen a couple of minutes ago, will be in interim charge until they find an interim boss, until they then find a full boss in the summer. How crazy is that? So you're in interim charge until we get an interim boss. Joachim Löw's an interesting one, by the way. Someone mentioned him the other day, currently doing nothing. Obviously has that kind of stature, doesn't he, for what he won with Germany, won the World Cup. But I want to go back to the issues at hand. I mentioned at the top of the show, and I think you kind of agreed with me as well, that a lot of United's former players might have a part to blame in this as well. And the reason I say that is because, look, if it was anyone else apart from Ole, the likes of Ferdinand, Scholes, to be fair, he was probably one of the only ones that kind of really did go at Ole. But Scholes, Roy Keane and Gary Neville would be tearing them another one. I think they were so laid back and almost accepting of what they're seeing because it's Ole and he's our friend and we worked with him and they didn't have the knives out. And we weren't calling for the knives to be out. We were just saying, just be honest with what you're seeing. And they weren't doing that.
Yeah, but that's the crucial thing. Nobody was suggesting that anyone needed to get any knives out or go studs first into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. People were just expecting you to perform your function as a pundit and say what you see. So when it goes wrong, when it's obviously so transparent as to why it's going wrong for Manchester United, there was this... It felt like sort of as if there had been some clandestine little conversations to make sure that they insulate Solskjaer from the blame. And it felt like the blame would be pointing in any direction aside from the obvious, which was the man who selects the team and the man that chooses the tactics. Gary Neville is the most responsible here. Gary Neville is the obvious one to focus on because Gary Neville was, he is a very clever man. He's a clever individual who spun it in a way that protected himself. He would say, well, I never called for any manager's head. And you're thinking, well, no, that's fine. Nobody's asked you to do that. But we are asking you to not simply be a cheerleader for Sky and for Manchester United. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you can see. And when you see the disarray and the shambles that is Manchester United, when you see some of those performances and then you hear Gary Neville's take on it, you think, Gary Neville is such an articulate, intelligent bloke. And yet he is talking utter twaddle in order to avoid saying the obvious, which is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is massively out of his depth here.
It's going to be interesting to see if Carragher does that with Steven Gerrard.
No, he won't.
You don't think so?
No, he won't.
You think Carragher will come for Gerrard's head?
Look, Carragher will do what you should do in this situation, which is, listen, you and I have worked with footballers. You have excellent connections and a backlog of work working in boxing. For example, you have worked and have a good professional relationship with Anthony Joshua. You have worked with Anthony Joshua on multiple occasions. But when Anthony Joshua was getting slapped up by Usyk, you didn't say he deserves to win that fight.
No.
Because you would have been mental. And you would have actually lost a lot of respect. Within the boxing community, they would have said, this bloke doesn't know what he's talking about or he has a vested interest.
Yeah.
And that is what has been displayed by Gary Neville time and time again with regard to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. When you look at how Gary Neville speaks candidly and fairly aggressively about other Manchester United players, have you heard him talk about Paul Pogba?
Yeah.
He's happy to hang Paul Pogba out to dry. He's happy to talk about Paul Pogba leaving the club. He's happy to talk about the timing of Pogba's agent releasing some news or whatever. He will go for the jugular with regard to Pogba. But he allows his personal relationships, and this isn't only a Manchester United thing, by the way. I've seen it demonstrated with Harry Kane. He allows his personal relationships to cloud his professional judgment. And that isn't the point of him. And I feel like it has done his credibility as, at one point, the best pundit in the business, a massive disservice.
Yeah, especially right about the Paul Pogba one. I mean, every single transfer window since Paul Pogba's arrived, maybe apart from the first 6 months, he's been saying that Paul Pogba's going to leave the club and his agent's trying to force a move. Pogba's been there for at least 6 or 7 windows now.
Exactly.
It will continually tell you, his sources and what he believes is that Paul Pogba wants out of the club. And what he done with Harry Kane, and you mentioned it there, and it'd be nice of you to elaborate on it. I thought it was a disgrace to have a sit-down interview of Harry Kane and basically, literally, almost let Harry Kane tell the world on his YouTube channel that Harry Kane wants out of a club. It was ridiculous. I can't believe he's got away with that.
Well, that's because of the relationship with Harry Kane. The way that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been treated by by Gary Neville is similar to what he's done with Kane. He's protected him. If Paul Pogba had gone on a YouTube channel and said, I want to leave Manchester United, or get me out of Manchester United now, which is, I'm paraphrasing, but that's effectively what Harry Kane said. Can I just emphasise here, by the way, this is important. This happened during the season. That episode was recorded. I enjoyed it. Lovely golf trousers on display from both. But that was recorded during the season. The season is still in play. There are points still at stake for Tottenham. And Harry Kane has taken time out of his day to go and meet Gary Neville and have a conversation about leaving his club. If Paul Pogba had done something even similar to that, Gary Neville would have reacted terribly. But because Gary Neville was happy to laud it up with Harry Kane, he portrays him as being some sort of deity, somebody who has never wronged anybody in the footballing sphere, which is just not true. He's a man who went on strike. He didn't come back for training. It feels like Gary Neville will always protect those that are close to him. And there is a place for that in life, by the way. I almost don't judge him for doing that. But equally, you can't expect us to take you seriously when somebody as ill-equipped for the job as Manchester United manager is in the job. You are clearly a footballing man. You clearly have a great understanding of the game. You are also an intelligent man. You have an incisive, cutting, clever approach to the game. And yet you will not say what is staring you in the face, which is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is out of his depth and shouldn't be in that job.
Yeah, and again, there's two ways to look at this. We're not asking him for him to say he should be sacked, but you can clearly see if there was any other man not named Ole getting those results, 5-0, Liverpool, City coming and thrashing them, getting beat 4-1 by Watford, he would have said that person is not good enough for the role.
I guarantee you
he wouldn't have used the word sacking, but he would have said they're not good enough for the role.
But the thing is, the word and being so specific about what should have been said was actually very clever from Neville, because nobody was saying that. Neville said, well, I'm never going to say that anyone should get sacked. And I've never said that. And you think, okay, that's fine. But nobody is specifically asking you to say that word. But what we're asking you to do is explain why you think he should keep his job if this is what's going on. And I guarantee you, if things, it's going to be a long, arduous season for Steven Gerrard. When it starts happening, when they start performing badly, which will happens to every manager, when Villa have a few shoddy results, I am so confident that Jamie Carragher, I am so confident. Look, I don't even expect Jamie Carragher to go studs up into his former teammate. No. I don't expect that. I don't want that. But what I do think he will do is, if Steven Gerrard has made a pig's ear of the selection or the tactics, I think that Jamie Carragher will flag it, and I don't think anybody would care if that were the case. To be
fair to Jamie, obviously, look, he was working for Sky when Steven Gerrard was still playing football for Liverpool for a season, I believe, and he went into Gerrard for some of his performances.
There we go.
So he's done it. So there is history. He has done it before. There are receipts. So be interesting to see if he does it. Just quickly before we go, in terms of the list of potential managers, Pochettino is now the odds-on favourite. Last week, Brendan Rodgers was the odds-on favourite, so it can change week to week. Is that the right fit? And it looks like that will happen in the summer as opposed to now, which makes no sense. For me, if Pochettino is the man, you pay Paris Saint-Germain what they want, you get him in now. But do you think he is the right fit for United?
I think he is a good fit. I think of all of the potential available managers, my choice for Manchester United, the person that I would be most intimidated, Zinedine Zidane, because of the stature.
Turned down United
because of the stature of Manchester United. When you think about the stature of the club, we are one of the best clubs, biggest clubs in the world. They are a club that should be demanding excellence from the bottom up. It takes a very particular man to be able to take the weight of a club like that on their shoulders. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was never that man. He was perfectly, obviously ill-equipped for that job from day dot. Zinedine Zidane is capable of taking that job on. Yeah. I believe that. So I think Zidane would be the best, but Pochettino's not a bad shout.
Yeah, right, and then I guess what Zidane brings, very quickly on this one, is we always talk about, those top managers, right? So Guardiola, Tuchel, Klopp. Zidane brings the trophies as well. So Pochettino brings this potential. Still, it's just potential. I know he won the French Cup or whatever.
Yeah. Day one as well.
He was there for the final. That was it. He didn't get them to the final. He was there for the final. Zidane will say, here's my CV. Here are the trophies. Now let's talk.
For me, there is
a list of managers.
For me, there's no real comparison between the two. I know that people love Pochettino, and he seems to have incredibly high stock considering the lack of silverware on his CV. And weirdly, and totally conversely to that, Zinedine Zidane seems to have a lot of questions asked about him, despite the amazing CV. It doesn't make any sense. No one questions Pochettino, who's won diddly squat, and everyone questions Zinedine Zidane, who's won everything.
Won a hat-trick of Champions Leagues
in a row. And then I'll tell you the narrative. Do you know the narrative? This is where it gets interesting, right? people go, oh yeah, but then
Ronaldo.
and then they go, but that second time when he went back there, it all went a bit wrong. Yeah, he won the league.
Yeah,
he went back and won the league.
Right, that was me last week. You're having a dig at me.
No, but you're not the only one.
Yeah,
you're not the only one. Like people often say that. So look, I think that they're incomparable. And if you're going to pick one, for me, it's Zidane. But the second choice, second by quite a long way, but also so much better than the third, so much better than Rodgers and that lot. Pochettino's not a bad shout.
Indeed, was it?